Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Wild Stock. Before we know it, the August update will land on August 13th, and with it, such an unexpected addition. We're going to get the major endgame system that was planned for Title Update 3 in a mid-title update patch. They brought it forward in this unexpected way, so we need to be ready for what that means a lot sooner. Let's state exactly what they've told us before we break it all down. In version 1.021, there will be a new level of quest difficulty, and with that, there'll be a new reward system tied to Talisman potential. In a tweet following up on that topic, we see that new level of quest difficulty reference, and then confirmation that said new quests will reward the new Talismans, and those will have random skill combinations. We can then learn more about this from future update plans in regards to Title Update 3 and 4, which obviously came before they then announced that they're bringing that endgame system forward to August. So, in Title Update 3, so now August, a new level of quest difficulty will be added, which will feature their own unique rewards. Hunters can use these rewards for a new talisman crafting system, which can be assigned various skills at random. The new talismans can be assigned a wide variety of skills, including those exclusive to weapons and armor, and will also be randomly assigned slots for decorations as well. We believe this system will broaden the range of builds and create a gameplay loop that encourages players to equip themselves to take on the game's toughest challenges. So a big part of these new talismans is to give us a new level of power for what's coming. And with that, we have a harder level of quest. Let's just refer to it as like 9 star as a placeholder for now. For that level of quest, it leads to the new RNG talismans. These talisman can have both offensive and defensive skills on them though, essentially going well beyond the value of our current crafted talismans, with their often limited levels of the skills you want. Most importantly here, the offensive skills normally found on monster weapon skills or offensive decorations, which could only go into your weapons, these can be found on these new talisman. In terms of the most efficient obvious picks for that, something like crit boost would be incredible. The issue with some of the offensive decorations is that they can't have a bonus level on top of them, where you might get something awesome like razor sharp 3 and then still get a 1 level of handicraft on top. Something like crit boost could only ever provide a maximum 3 crit boost levels on 1 decoration, nothing else on the side. Freeing up an offensive decoration slot like that then, thanks to a new talisman, that'd be nice. But then it gets even more exciting because people are speculating that this could include some of the unique weapon skills normally only found on unique monster weapons, like White Flame Torrent, a skill that causes those pops of damage like a more potent blast status found on your Zoshir weapons, or Blade Scale Honing with the recent Seregios weapons, letting you perfect evade to then enhance your sharpness for a brief time. The massive downside of these monster weapon offensive skills is the fact that they're tied to suboptimal weapons in most cases that usually can't compete with artian meta. So what if you could get those unique offensive skills on a talisman in this update? It would make for a serious shift in playstyles and potential, and it'd definitely make the new talisman stuff very much more exciting, especially with the future of unique offensive skills in the game. I mean, outside of that exciting concept, they've also stated that these new talisman can have decoration slots on them as well. We don't know how many or how big they're going to be, but that's instantly more relevant than our current charms since they don't have any at all. Even if it's just 3 1 slots, you'd get to sneak in some extra stamina help, damage reduction, or just utility skills. But what if they also let us put offensive decorations in those slots too? That'd be insane. Ultimately, even if it's only offensive skills that you can currently decorate for, none of the unique stuff on those talismans, it'll still be a big deal, even more so with the decoration slots. But we are wondering, how will it actually work? Well, it sounds familiar, so let's look back at the Rise and Sunbreak version of this to compare it. So Rise had a simple yet heavily RNG system for talismans. In short, you could pick from a small list of options which would generate a list of talisman potential that fit in those categories, with one having generally the best potential but a bigger variance on what you can actually get, so more duds on average. The idea was likely to make it easier to get some starting suitable options, then the long-term RNG grind was there in place after. In Sunbreak though, more options were added with greater potential, like the Anima Meld, but there was also Reincarnation, which let you take bad talisman rolls and then re-roll them with great chances. So those updates, along with other small changes to the system, are something I'd expect to immediately have in whatever version we have here. They've been doing a great job in Wilds actually implementing feedback and changes of old systems. The very way that Artian weapons exist now is based on previous systems, like the Awakening system with Safi Jiva. Either way then, with those talismans, your goal was to fight monsters and generate monster parts to then turn into talisman. And there was also other materials like melding pudding, honey, and nectar, which are very comparable to, say, our current melding tickets and ticket systems in Wilds, which could then be turned into melds, and then you could do a pile per order, and then you could do up to 10 orders at once. Then you just need to pass time. You could do so by doing hunts or using accelerants. Ultimately, you'd see what they turned into and then make a decision whether you'd keep or get rid of them. And as you can see, they would also have decoration slots and 2 different skills of varying levels. Something incredible like a 3 slot and maybe 2 and a 1 slot after that could be awesome. In Sunbreak, we also had 4 slot potential. The skills had extreme value, lots of potential there with things like weakness exploit, crit eye, attack boost, crit boost, and so on. But there were limits to the system. The skills were individually tagged with a grade, so the higher the grade, the rarer you'd see that skill, and especially at higher level. If you had 2 skills with high grade on a talisman, then getting good decoration slots at the same time was definitely harder, or maybe even impossible based on the configuration. So a reasonable hope would be 1 or 2 good grade skills with decent levels on them, and then at least some decoration slots alongside that. Then for super long term, you'd be looking for a perfect situation with the ideal skills with their max levels and the biggest decoration slots possible. But that would take a long time. All of that was decided through a sort of charm table, which has kind of been a behind the scenes system for various RNG systems through Monster Hunter's history. As Josh explained to me, in the past they'd have this tied to your save file, which is a pretty awful way to do it. It could mean that you'd have no choice but to meld 4,000 times before you get to the one you want, or it could be lucky 4 times, 40 times. Or it could be literally impossible on your save to get the thing you're imagining. These days, thankfully, we have more forgiving systems, like being able to check the next X amount of talismans and then not seeing anything you want, so you'd reload back to before you even tried for those talismans. Then you'd refresh the next 10 melds by rolling a dud talisman and accepting that, spending less resources to do so. Then you'd full on try for the next potential list and do it again. You could actually do something like that now in Wilds with the artian crafts and the potential reinforcements. So we very well could expect something like that for the talisman system. So, what do we hope for based on all of that? A system that allows for new meta in Endgame, which seems very likely, done by providing key skills and decoration slot potential outside of our current methods. How far that goes is up to them, but it would be really cool if we could actually generate some of those unique monster weapon skills, like White Flame Torrent, onto those talismans. But at the very least, from the sounds of it, it's going to be offensive skills, usually found on weapons and offensive decorations, at a minimum. And we know there's going to be decoration slots on top, so no matter what way it goes, it'll be a big deal. And maybe those slots will even allow offensive decorations, which would be pretty crazy. Now on top of that, hopefully it's all based on a charm table that actually lets us test at least a little, and then reload and dud roll and refresh and try again, to massively improve the pace at which we roll the odds for overall less materials and tickets. Now, based on how Wilds has taken old systems and massively improved them based on past experience and feedback, I have high hopes for this initial version. But I guess we should probably ask the question, where are we getting these new talisman drops? Well, like I said, it's going to be a new form of difficulty, maybe a 9-star version or something else. Naturally, this could be something simple, like the addition of a tempered Zoshia, which is the only drop for the new talismans, and so we just go farm that. That would funnel everyone into the same thing, which has its positives, but I really hope they don't do that, because it'd be pretty uninspired and get old pretty quick, especially when there's so much potential just being wasted with the Wilds monsters. If they went the way of the afflicted system like in Sunbreak, that'd be awesome. So a short summary of what that was basically the whole roster of the game got an afflicted version, which was essentially a harder version of the original monster. And initially, that was the tier 1 or starting monsters. This meant there was suddenly a reason to go fight like an earlier monster. And as the system progressed with future updates, they added the next set of monsters, which are a bit higher in tier and difficulty. The idea here in relevance to Wilds then, is it would mean monsters like Chatacabra could actually be something you hunt for a reason. Maybe a bit more challenging and interesting. Much more likely though, we get a lot more value out of tier 2 monsters. Amazing monsters like Zuwu, Arconstruct, Odegron and Anjanath, Rathalos and so on. Having a reason to go hunt those underhunted monsters in Wilds would be a great thing. And as we've said in the past, they are kind of sitting on the whole Guardians and Frenzy monster type system, very underused and underloved in the current endgame, so maybe it could in fact involve them. So yeah, I'm even more hopeful for something like that compared to one monster we focus for the rewards, since they learned how we definitely didn't enjoy that with the 8-star arkveld being the clear only good option for relic farming in wilds at launch. Now we have so many targets that can provide double relic drops by comparison, so surely they won't make the same mistake. But yeah, that's about everything I want to highlight about this. Our new endgame system that's hitting on August 13th. It definitely makes you wonder if they'll bring the title update for artian weapon stuff forward to TU3, or maybe it'll be that mid-title update patch. But no matter what happens, we'll be covering it all as it happens. But until then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.